They claimed that they saw people wearing old type of clothing. They heard mysterious voices and saw into a time slip, and they briefly transported back more than 100 years before. Then time traveling by traveling with the speed of light. This was shown in Superman. In 1901, two English women, Annie Mobley and Eleanor Jordan, decided to take a vacation to France. There they visited to the famous palace of Versailles, and while they were at the Versailles, they visited at that particular spot where Marie Antoinette used to hang out as her private space. But while they were there, they claimed that they saw some odd occurrences. They claimed that they saw people wearing old type of clothing. They heard mysterious voices and saw buildings that no longer exist. And indeed, they hadn't existed since the late 1700s. Finally, they said they caught Marie Antoinette herself drawing in a sketchbook. Now they had fallen into a time slip, and they briefly transported back more than 100 years before. And not only this, there are many such cases like the mystery of John Titor, Victor Airfield time slip, where people claimed to get into another time. So does it actually real? For that, let's firstly try to understand that can actually time travel possible?
A time machine?
You know the rules of time jumps, right?
Time travel, a concept that has been explored since the early 1900s.
I have no idea, but we're talking about time travel here. Either it's...
So we all in our childhood had grown up watching these types of movies where time traveling is a well-known concept. Here time traveling can be of many kinds. First is one-way travel to the future, where you can travel to future but it's really impossible to return. For example, Interstellar, which is based on the same concept. And then the second way, in which the time traveler is just standing and everything is just moving towards him, the way shown in Harry Potter Prisoners of Azkaban. Then time traveling by traveling with the speed of light. This was shown in Superman, that was in 1979, where he travels faster than light and then he travels back to the past. So which of these kind can actually and can scientifically be performed? And yes, there is. See, broadly, time traveling is based on traveling into future or into past. And if we talk about traveling into future, so there are many scientific theories that states that yes, it is possible. At first, it was derived from the Albert Einstein's special theory of relativity by his concept of time dilation. So before Einstein, when people believed in Newton's and his says, even Newton claimed that time is constant. Constant means time would remain same whether you are traveling slower or faster, or whether you are in a black hole or you are in any other planet. It would remain constant. But with Einstein's concept of time dilation, he claimed that no, time is not constant. Time can actually be speed up or can be slowed down just depending upon speed and gravity. So broadly, time dilation can be done in two ways. First, with the help of speed, that is known as kinetic time dilation, where you are traveling in a spacecraft which is traveling very faster, maybe near a faster of speed of light. So the faster something travels, the more time would slow down for it relative to the person who isn't going that much faster. So practically speaking, if somehow we are able to travel as faster as the speed of light in space for just 10 years, and then if we return back to Earth, the time that you see on Earth would be 9,000 years later. And with the improvement of technology, after some couple of decades, I'm sure we would surely build such aircrafts that can fly faster, and maybe someday we would be able to travel as much faster as light. So the point being is that by this way, in future, time traveling is obviously scientifically possible. And not only in future, at present also, a Russian astronaut is credited with the most time travel into future, as he spent his 879 days in space while traveling 28,000 km per hour, which is the longest time period for an astronaut. And after 879 days, when he returned to Earth, he traveled 0.02 seconds to future. Like he's now younger than the people on Earth. But unfortunately just 0.02 seconds. Now the concept of time dilation is not just this, like the way we have talked yet, that by traveling with the speed of light. it is not the only way. We can significantly time travel into future with the help of gravitational force as well. Because the more the rate of gravity, the more time dilation occurs. Okay, for that, imagine a space-time fabric as shown in the screen and now put a planetary object on it. And the more heavier the planetary object would be, the more the fabric folds toward downside. And the more it folds, it would form a curve. And the more you will nearer to that object forming that space-time curve, the more time would slow down for you. As the steep of the curvature is more, this equals to slower time. And if you spend some time near black holes, as they are the only known object to form maximum space-time curvature, so the time would pass slower. For example, if you spend an hour near a black hole, it can approximately be about 7 years relative to the people who are not there. But here is an exception, that it's not yet confirmed that someone can survive being that much closer to a black hole. So this was the second way through which time traveling in future is also possible. Now there is another way as well, that is the procedure of cryosleep. Basically, they are such type of machines where humans are confined into a condition that they doesn't get aged. The basic concept behind it is a human body is kept under a cool temperature. All the chemical reactions under it would slow down to a quite extent, and this fortunately led to a slower growth of a human body and less aging. And there's an actual case in Japan where a man has survived 24 days without food or water in a hibernation where his body temperature was 22 degrees Celsius. And his medical reports claimed that there is not a permanent damage or problems with his body. So cryosleep is something that can also be developed in future and can become a way for us to travel into future. Now this was all about time traveling in future. But what about traveling in past? Does time traveling in past is also possible? Okay, for that let's came back to the Einstein's space-time fabric. According to him, if we are able to create a gravitational force in that fabric, that the planetary object would fall through the fabric and tear it apart from downwards, then it would create a type of wormhole with the help of which we can travel into past. But it would need an extremely powerful gravitational field that can only be generated through a black hole and through a spinning black hole. This type of wormhole would generate a closed time-like curve, and to travel into those wormholes to past, unfortunately we would need a type of anti-gravity energy that would repel the space-time fabric the same way magnet repels each other. But negative energy is still underdeveloped question for cosmology, and this whole thing is just a theoretical concept. Now while time traveling to past, there's an obstacle named paradox. One of them is the grandfather paradox. See, if I somehow travels to past and I killed my grandfather, so neither my father nor I would able to born. And this will give a question mark to my existence, that whether I even exist or not. That's why it's a paradox, it's not logically right. To solve this, there's a concept of multiverse that says that what happened once was in one universe, but when you travel back into time and change something, then it would create a new universe with a new timeline. So yeah, overall, there are many logical problems that we will face while traveling in past. So by these obstacles, maybe time traveling in past will never possible, but one thing is obvious, that time traveling in future is possible, and it would more probable even in a future generation. So in this sense, yes, time traveling exists. Now if we came back to the event in the Palace of Versailles that we have discussed in the starting of the video about those two English women. So that was an unacceptable case. No one believed in their story and everyone thought that it's an imagination or maybe an illusion. And they also wrote a book about their experience named An Adventure, and you can read it if you want to do so. So yeah, this was all about time travel and the possible ways to time travel. So be connected with those cosmic nights if you want to do so. No, just joking.